On the next all-new episode of Lazarus.
Rich people always have the best security.
Let's sit tight until nightfall.
Whoa. Hey, Axel, what are you doing? Can you hear me? The building is crawling full of security guards.
This guy, he really just went for it.
Lazarus, next Saturday at midnight on Toonami, next day on Max.
Hey there, Toonami faithful. Got some good news.
Toonami's bringing back Saturday morning.
I'm sure you've heard of us.
3 hours of quality Toonami programming, and it's not even a school day. Starting at 9, inside your computer. Reboot. Then the Roman warriors have returned to fight for our souls.
I will get rid of you once and for all!
Enter the world of Dot Hack Side at 10.
Are you ready? Let's go!
10:30, Ultra. The mighty robot is needed once more.
Nothing can stop us.
Next, Batman.
Let's hear it for him!
And the Powerpuff Girls at 11:30. Toonami, The Rising Sun, Saturday from 9 to noon. A day which will live in infamy.
Hello everyone, welcome to Toonami Therapy. Today on April 24th of 2025, I'm Michael.
Yeah, hello, I'm Tommy.
And, well, I don't think there's any new news about Toonami or anything else that we really talk about at the start, so I'm just going to double check. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything, so I guess we can just jump into it. There's not anything particularly special in this episode, I guess. Maybe some in the next episode, but yeah, we'll get into it. So we start out, as always, with the series on Toonami that we were watching. So with this, we'll begin with, let me actually, dang it, we spent all this time before talking about some stuff, and I realized that I don't actually have something important open while I'm here. So I'm just going to be, so here I am trying to stall all of a sudden. So how about the weather, everyone? Eh? You know, that weather, it's like, actually, I don't know what the weather is now, although it's been warmer than it used to be. It's kind of warmer now. Okay, I got it. All right. How was my attempt at stalling?
Good.
All right. Ooh. So with this, we're our characters. Well, they're still trying to go after Skinner. They end up basically. They were trying to go to this. Basically, a bunch of stuff happens that none of it, I don't think, really has much in the way of plot. But for a while, but then they end up realizing, oh, you know, you're supposed to go to his grandmother, and I think it was his adopted grandmother, and talk to her. An amazing thing, which is kind of weird. No one thought to ask the guy's only living relative before this, I guess. The one everyone's trying to go to. So yeah, they go there and they talk to her and find stuff out. Then ultimately they do the big thing, I guess, is the fact that they find a hidden camera there that Skinner is looking at, and yeah, that was kind of it when you get down to it in terms of what happened. It was just a bunch of stuff that happened, and there was some action, and it's not a great description of it, but
Yeah.
it felt kind of like a messy episode.
Yeah, this was a bizarre episode, and it obviously got some political talking points in yet again, but I can't say it was all that terrible. It just Um, yeah, I don't understand exactly what they're trying to do. Is this like is this basically Doflamingo saying, okay, everyone's challenged to a game, and the game is hide and go seek, and whoever finds me first, gets to uh, have the antidote to my vaccine, which or whatever it is, and it doesn't make much sense to me, to be honest. So I'm very confused as to what they're actually trying to do, and plus this main character, he is a complete ripoff Spike Spiegel. Like he looks like Spike Spiegel. He acts like Spike Spiegel. He has the same, like magic, not magic, but like the way he's able to like grab guns off people and stuff like that. Like he just seems like they just took Spike Spiegel and threw him in this world. and it's just like, why couldn't they come up with a brand new character? Why do we have to rip off one that already exists? So I wasn't happy with the episode, but at the same time I don't really have any major complaints other than the political talking points. Aside from that, it's just kind of okay.
What I found weird about the first half, which is where I guess they kind of put that in, because it's weird because one of the other character with Axel, what was his name? I can't remember. But the one where he's like the political thing is when he's talking and he's like mentions that when he was in college or something, some professor told him, oh well, there's never going to be a black Einstein. A black person is never going to win the Nobel Peace Prize or any of that stuff. And I'm thinking, okay, that's okay, that's the thing I guess he told you, and then he got out angry and punched him. So, but I'm just not sure what plot-wise did that really tell us much about his character. That whole sequence just kind of felt like it could have been clipped, and the only plot was after they realized, oh yeah, we should. Hey, this guy that everyone's trying to find, he's got a living relative. Maybe we should visit them.
Yeah, that's exactly why I felt like this is just forced message,
It's weird because once again, like the previous episode, I'm almost like, well, what exactly is the message? Is it just, hey, like if you're racism is bad? Seems maybe a little surface level, but I don't know. I won't get too much into that, because one thing I try to do is that if I ever talk politics online, it's usually under a screen name that cannot be easily, traced to me.
Yeah, I just go under Refugio Rongolio, but now so.
Okay.
And if you know what that is,
but
you would have to have been a member of a certain video game site to know what Refugio Rongolio means. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, I think the series, it was kind of fun. At the same time, I'm starting to kind of realize I think this series, that's just what I'm supposed to take it as. I should not be trying to think too hard about anything in it, because this is a series where physics basically doesn't work. It doesn't exist in the way it is for us based on the action scenes, and where the plot doesn't really make all that much sense. I think Skinner might have said in his video that people could try to find him. I can't remember if he explicitly said that or not, but in any event, that's what I've thinking. Just enjoy it and have some fun. But I'll say. But the thing is, I also recently watched Solo Leveling, and it just if I just, and that's just kind of better at being the series. Okay, I don't want to think too hard about this. I just want to have some fun action scenes, than this. So, yeah, okay. So yeah, it was decent. I'd say it's still despite some of my criticism, still pretty consistently so far the best thing that's airing, or at least that we're covering that's on Toonami.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we move on to Blue Exorcist, episode 23. Okay, so so what happens? Okay, so the old guy is able to open the gate or whatever. So then, let's see, Yukio gets his demonic powers awakened somehow. He looks really goofy, by the way. With that, like the ears do not look right on him at all. We get a flashback about all this stuff about their mother and Satan and stuff. And by the way, in case you're wondering, this is not at all how it happened in the manga. I looked it up out of curiosity. Everything that we hear about this flashback is very different than what the manga did with this later on. So just be aware of that. Okay, so then we get past we have the big flashback, and I think Satan possesses Yukio, and yeah, it was mostly just a flashback thing, really.
Yeah. Yeah, this episode was not very good in my opinion. I didn't enjoy it all that much. I just thought it was kind of I think one of my biggest problems has been in lately is that this whole thing about Rin being the older brother, even though like in every sensible way he's the little brother, and it just doesn't make any sense that they've kind of tried to force it on it, because it's like the younger Yukio he acts like the older brother. He seems to be the older brother, but he's the little brother, and it doesn't make much sense. This episode, though, I wasn't too big of a fan of it. And and the funny thing is that I tried going to bed early, and I was like, okay, I'll just watch this later. Well, I did watch it later, but I couldn't fall asleep, so I could have just stayed up and watched it anyway. And I just wasted a lot of time by doing that. So I could have just stayed up and watched it. And that would have been a better experience, but whatever. I'll try next week. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And it also is just continuing what I've been noting about. It feels like some of the stuff that bugged me a bit about the series when we weren't in filler is just being exacerbated here, because we've got I mentioned before, the series has all like these Christian references. I mean, like they beat some demons get banished by reading the right Bible verse, is established. The enemy is Satan. We've got all this stuff, but yet it seems so much like they just kind of just slap that on top of stuff. Like, okay, so the bad guy's Satan, but doesn't seem to have much at all in common with the like original biblical version outside of just being a bad guy. And such, and all these other things. Like they just randomly quote from Revelation in this episode, the book of Revelation. It's just like, okay, that was there, but what does it have to do with anything? It just brings up so many questions. Not only that, because I'm thinking, okay, so they're working like for the Vatican, Bible verses, defeat demons, all this stuff. So does this mean that, in this continuity, is Christianity true or false? I think it's important to know that if you're going to be throwing all this like stuff in here, because they've got all these like Christian stuff, and yet it's not like true in Christianity exactly, because so many things are different. It's just I've always just felt that maybe they should have just had all the stuff get named differently, just Exorcist Association, instead of like just Satan calling the bad guy, like I don't know, enter Demon Lord name here. All that sort of stuff. Yeah. I will say though, I'm surprised you didn't mention the joke, because you bringing up the last few episodes where you're saying, oh yeah, it's sympathy for the devil and stuff. And I did not. In the previous episodes, I was like, nah, I don't think so. In this episode, I was like, well, I mean, Satan's still supposed to be a bad guy, but they sure tried to like make him more sympathetic in the backstory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I want to make it clear again. From what I looked up, and I'll admit this is mostly just reading some stuff on TV tropes. The like this one, it tried to kind of make them more sympathetic in the backstory with their mother and stuff and things. And apparently in the manga, it was just the way that happened was like she was just this really nice person. He was one of the exorcists, and he was trying to like think, oh, well, maybe I can convince him to stop being evil, and, didn't end up working at all. Because he was just a really bad guy through and through anyway. So it seems like this is kind of going, I mean, of course, all of this stuff in the manga comes way later. They didn't know that at this point in the anime, but... Mm-hmm. But it's also why it feels kind of dissonance with so much of the stuff previously in the series, because it's just made up. Yeah, I'm kind of glad that this sort of thing, they don't seem to do it much in anime anymore, where they're just like, okay, well, we don't have enough time, so like the manga, there's not enough manga, and we don't want to do filler, I guess. So sure, let's just make up our own ending that probably doesn't make too much sense. I think the only one I think that managed to do that kind of decently was Full Metal Alchemist, the original. Even that one kind of had some problems.
Well, it was rushed, and it was like a downer ending, but I liked it a lot. Well, we already know this, but I liked it a lot more than I did Brotherhood. So, except I did like Brotherhood's ending better, but yeah, I'm glad they don't really try doing this like Tokyo Ghoul did it, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
And then it ended with that thing where the guy was like torturing someone, and it made zero sense.
That part was in the manga, but it made a little more. It was the stuff after that was anime original, and where things didn't make sense. But even like the earlier stuff, when it was more on the manga, I don't think it adapted it that great. Like I enjoyed the manga more. I think the anime just didn't do a great job, even before the split off, adapting some things in it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess there was like The Promised Neverland, but that at least, well, first of all, everyone agrees that wasn't a good ending anyway, so don't do that. But at least it kind of followed the original in sort of a vague way. Original manga, but that would be too complicated to say. All I'd say is that basically, if someone had read the rest of the Promised Neverland manga after the first season, and someone said, okay, you need to take this and you need to condense this into 10 episodes, that's basically what you probably would have ended up with. Mm-hmm. Okay. But yeah, so again, I'm just kind of glad we're into this stuff. Just not a great episode. We're almost to the end, and like I said, I'm very curious. I honestly want to see season 2 of Blue Exorcist now, just to see the way things were supposed to go.
Yeah, it would actually make it more interesting. Yeah, but I have the sinking feeling they're not going to show second season, and in fact, we'll get like Dragon Ball Super reruns or something stupid like that.
We might.
I mean, Dragon Ball Super Duper, maybe. If we get that Dragon Ball Super Duper that I've been. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Honestly, if we're going to get a Dragon Ball thing, it might be Dragon Ball Daima. That's like the new Dragon Ball series that did that finish? That finished airing a few months ago. It was it was something what I think the plot of it, which took place after at the end of Dragon Ball Z, as you might remember, they beat like the evil Boo and all that stuff, and then there's just kind of a time skip of like a bunch of years, and then which it closes on. I think right after that part, in between that, during that time skip, it's just a story happens where someone just turns the main casting to kids so that they're weaker now, and then they all have to go on some adventure. I think in another universe. So,
oh man. Really?
Wow. I think it's something like that. I don't know exactly. Okay. Following the defeat, I'm reading it off Wikipedia. Following the defeat of the evil Majin Buu and the death of the former Supreme Kai Dabura in Dragon Ball Z, Goma, the new Supreme King of the Demon Realm, uses the Dragon Balls of Earth to turn Son Goku and his friend into younger versions of themselves in order for them to not pose any threat to him, and kidnaps Dende, Goku, Shin, Vegeta, Piccolo, and Bulma. Kidnaps Dende. Period. Space. There's actually a cut there, but yeah. Goku, Shin, Vegeta, Piccolo, and Bulma are aided by the demons Glorio and Pansy, both of whom oppose Goma in a journey through the three worlds of the Dragon Realm to gather its native Dragon Balls to revert his wish and save Dende. So yeah, it basically they're all depowered by being turned into younger, and then I guess they do an isekai adventure maybe. Did this end up getting good reviews? Let me just see. Dragon Ball Daima, how did that end up, say, on my anime list? 7.66. So not great, but but still a decent score. Okay. Now, all right, what was there? Well, that was a what do you call it? A tangent. Anything else to say about Blue Exorcist?
No.
Okay. So, One Piece episodes 719 to 720. So, basically, after all of this, we actually, yeah, I think I have the right ones. So Zoro, through the power of getting some flashbacks that I think were padding, actually, is able to beat Pika. So, yay! After that, Luffy finally beats Bellamy. Mm-hmm. And now he's going to fight Doflamingo. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Mm.
And yeah, that's basically my description of them. They beat Pika and Luffy beats Bellamy. So now we're going to go to Doflamingo. Also, that was at the start of the second episode where you're seeing Pika come apart. I don't know if you caught this, but that was some pretty gratuitous filler and padding, even for One Piece. Just how slowly he comes apart.
Yeah. So, where's Law been all this time?
Where's Law? I think, if I remember correctly, he was fighting Doflamingo, and I think he might have been doing that while Luffy was fighting Bellamy. But then I think he got beaten by Doflamingo. So now Luffy has to come in and do the whole thing.
When you say beaten, what do you mean by that?
When I say beaten?
Yeah, is he dead?
No, I think he's alive. No, he's definitely alive, but
okay.
That's what I remember. Law was fighting Doflamingo but got beaten, I think, is what happened. And let's see.
But he chose not to kill him.
I'm not 100% sure. Don't worry, I'm sure the recap in the next episode will explain it all, because those lengthy recaps make sure to tell you everything
and take up as much time as possible.
Yeah. So I don't really have too much else to say about One Piece. The first episode was actually pretty decent, I think. It was the second episode that I thought was pretty boring because, again, I just keep thinking, I don't care about Bellamy. I do not care about this character. Luffy, just beat him and move on.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it, I guess, for Toonami. Anything else, or shall we move on?
We don't really have any more Toonami, so
Okay.
yeah, move on.
All right, so on to our series that are not on Toonami. We got Yu Yu Hakusho, episode 51. In this episode, Team Toguro fights Team Yeah Right and beats them pretty easily. So, yeah, that was a bunch of it. But also, past that, we do have Genkai confronts Toguro, and they decide, and I guess they're going, and they talk a little bit about their past because they knew each other. I assume we're going to get a little more about that soon. And then they're gonna fight, and I sure hope you didn't look at the I sure hope you didn't watch the preview, because it's literally unless it's a fake out, the title of the next episode, it very much spoilers how this is gonna go.
Wait, what was this episode called?
This was called Arch Rivals.
Okay, so I'm definitely an episode ahead of you.
Oh.
So I don't know what happened. Yeah, I saw that next episode. So yeah.
Oh.
I don't know how it happened, but yep.
Well,
so I'm ahead of you. So that means I can skip next week, I guess.
Or watch this week's episode if you want, I guess, but but mostly it was just like establishing some of the other people on Toguro's team so that they get to fight, and the other team basically jobs. But
yeah, I already saw that like last week. So yeah, I don't know what happened, but somehow I ended up an episode ahead of you. So
wait, did you see that last week? I thought last week I mentioned that it was the one where they fought the clown guy. That's what I watched. Did you watch a different episode last week and we didn't notice?
The episode I watched this week was the death of Genkai.
Yeah, so that's next week. The one with the spoiler title.
Yeah.
But last week, what did you watch? The one I watched this week last week, or did you just skip over it?
I watched Arch Rivals
last week.
Yeah.
Oh, did we watch different episodes last week and just never noticed? Huh.
Yeah, we mustn't have noticed it.
Yeah. How long have we been apart? Let's see. I know we watched the same episode when we had the old man and the sea reference. So that I think was
somewhere in between there. I must have watched 2 episodes in a week. So
that might have been what happened. Yeah, if you watched 2 episodes last week, then that might explain it, because if that's what happened, then when I was describing what happened in the episode, you'd remember it because you saw that episode, but then you did. But then you watched the episode after. Okay, I think that's the case. So yeah, you don't.
That had to be what happened.
All right, well, I guess we've gotten through that sort of. Yeah. Okay, well, I guess we'll just move on then to an episode. I hope we watched the same episodes this time. Shangri-La Frontier episodes 48 and 49. Okay, so we see some of the stuff where Katsuo went up against Sylvia at a previous one of these tournaments and got beaten. Sunraku just happens to actually run into her when he's buying something. He doesn't know it's her because she's got
energy drinks.
Yeah.
Energy drinks.
Yeah. He was trying to get energy drinks, and he runs in to her, but doesn't know it's her. Anyway, so we get some stuff with Dad, and then the series decides, well, we've spent remember how we spent a bunch of time on like them going with that underwater thingy, Shangri-La Frontier, and then we just suddenly put it on pause to focus on this thing. Well, let's suddenly put this thing on pause to get back to that. So it goes back into so Sunraku ends up going back into Shangri-La Frontier, plays for a bit more, and manages to beat a monster, and then he realizes, oh wait, have I been in here a really long time? And it indicates that it's dawn already, so he doesn't seem to have actually gotten any sleep.
Yeah, how does he sleep if he's playing this game all the time? Like, when does he ever... does he ever eat? Like, he's playing this game for hours on end, Like, what happens to his physical body? I mean, yeah, you just think that after a while that would take a toll on you. And I mean, it's hard enough to play normal video games without taking breaks, let alone immersing your entire body and mind into something. It just seems like, and then there's the other question, like, how does he have money to buy energy drinks if he's spending his entire life in Shangri-La Frontier? There's so many questions this brings up, and
well, he's still like in high school. Presumably, he gets some money from his parents to buy stuff.
Oh, I didn't even realize he was a high school kid. I'm thinking he's like a made man or something.
No, I think he's. I can double check, but I feel like he was 16 or 17. Let's see. How old was Sunraku here? Let's see. What was Sunraku is listed as? Yeah, he's 17.
So we've never seen him go to school, though.
We saw him at school in the first episode, though not for terribly long.
First episode. Okay, that's good. So, yeah.
How old are they all? Let me check. Okay, so Nraku's 17, Katsuo's 19. How old is Pencilgon? She's 24. So yeah, that's their age is there. Okay, so yeah, but yeah, what you were talking about, I actually have been thinking a little about some of those things, because in terms of going to eat and stuff, that's not something I worried about too much, because I don't think we've seen them play, but I think in terms of total time at once, I don't think we've really seen them in the game itself for more than just a few hours at most. So, but although actually in this one, he probably was in it for a while in this one. I can't remember exactly when he started, but yeah, he would have been in there for a few hours. What I'm wondering about with all these VR games is, so you're in the VR game and stuff. Okay, so what happens legitimately if you have to exercise certain bodily functions? Does that just happen? Does it stop you from doing it somehow? Do people play these games wear adult diapers just in case? I do kind of wonder about some of that stuff. Not just this, but for the other VR MMO genre series. There's obviously Sword Art Online. There's Bofree. There's some other series also. But yeah, I've sometimes wondered a little about that. These episodes, I thought they were kind of okay. I was actually really interested in this gaming tournament. So just switching back to Shangri-La Frontier to not really actually accomplish that much in it was a little bit of a disappointment to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I should make a note. In the we do actually in these in these episodes, dang, I can't remember exactly when this happened. I just know I made a note of it. I think this was in the game between Katsuo and Sylvia at the start. But hey, rapid fire punching actually won a fight.
Yeah. Rapid fire punching. I remember that clearly. But I have to say that this water fight, this fight against a shark or something, wasn't all that interesting.
Mhm.
And I'm actually more interested in this other game than I am in Shangri-La Frontier itself. So I'm hoping that we get more on this game they're playing a tournament in, and I hope this isn't just like, it's like, well, we need to get back to Shangri-La Frontier. It's like, why? For him to fight off a villain all by himself with some NPC helping him out and stuff,
Yeah.
like that doesn't really interest me at all. What interests me is when he's with other characters, and that's the thing. He can't carry the show on his own, and but unfortunately, the writers haven't figured that out yet. So, yeah, it's kind of awkward whenever he's doing these quests by himself, and it just isn't very interesting. So I prefer the first episode to the second one.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
But the first episode was pretty good. So
yeah. The one issue, unfortunately, is the fact that we know there's one episode left of this season. This is not going to all get resolved. We are going to be left in the middle of these things at this season, unfortunately. So yeah, just kind of like the first season, we're definitely, even though there is a third season announced, we can be pretty sure we're going to go into, hey, if you want to know what's going to happen, you're either going to have to wait for that next season or just go read the manga.
Yeah.
Oh. So, yeah, that's basically it. Oh, also, in case you were wondering, because if you watched the English dub, you might have guessed this anyway, but that part where Sylvia's talking at one point and this Japanese text just randomly appears on screen, that's because in the original Japanese, at that point, she switches to actually saying it in English out loud. So that was just captions for that. It's actually a little weird, though, when you think about it, because they do have that scene. Then she goes to the hotel room, talks to the people on her team, and then it's just suddenly Japanese again. So what I guess we're supposed to assume is that the first one, she was, in all these things, she was speaking English, but it was just like changed into Japanese for the benefit of the audience in the second scene, but not the first scene. Yeah. Anyway. So we got that. Yeah, not too much else to say about that one, I don't think. So, yeah, all right, we move on. Hyouka, episode 8.
Okay, well, I hope you weren't expecting anything really interesting, because this episode was quite dull. Basically, the crew, the club, English literature, whatever they're called, they decide, or they don't really decide, they kind of get forced into watching a movie made by some other club, and the movie goes for a little while, and then it kind of just ends, and now they have to figure out the mystery of the movie, even though they didn't really ever complete the movie. So, and she has to know and all that. I feel like these mysteries have like started going down in quality steadily until now we're trying to figure out the mystery of a movie inside an anime. I don't know. I just thought this was a dull episode, and unfortunately, it wasn't resolved. So that it's we have to go through another one of these. So, yeah.
Well, I did actually like when they were watching the movie because it was just kind of deliberately done badly, and you had
Yeah.
the main character kind of making fun of it as they watched it. So that was actually kind of fun. I liked
Yeah.
that. But what I'm so confused about is this. So the setup is that someone was writing the movie, but they didn't quite finish it yet. They still had that happens sometimes. You make a movie while it's being written, and but then they got sick, and now we're trying to figure out who the culprit was so they can finish the movie. I'm thinking, okay, the person's sick, fine. They won't be able to actually write down and finish the movie and stuff. I'm sure I cannot imagine that they are so sick they cannot just tell you the name of the culprit and that's it. That's all they have to do. Like, that's all the like you're. I mean, are they like in a coma or something? Are they that sick? Because otherwise, what prevents them from just telling you the culprit, and then you can just figure it all out based on that?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of weird. I'm honestly wondering at this point if there's like going to be some twist to it where they're like, oh well, actually we did know what it was. We just did all this stuff to give a mystery to you or something like that. Because that just seems like it makes so little sense to me as to why you can't just ask them, who was the culprit going to be? Okay, it's going to be that person. All right, we'll have someone else finish the movie with that knowledge. That's all you got to do. I cannot imagine that someone, unless they're like straight up in a coma or unable to move somehow, unless they're in that kind of state, they can't just say the name of the culprit. Okay. Yeah, we got that. Oh, also, this was, of course, one of those times where he's like, well, I have heard that voice before. Where was it? And just one of the random girls in the movie had the exact same voice, because it's the same voice actress, but even then the same voice as Katsuo from Shangri-La Frontier. I don't know if you noticed that. Oh, you did?
I didn't notice that. No.
Oh, okay. It was tricky because it was such a minor character. I had to do some extra thing just to find out who voiced them. Okay. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So I think it was actually interesting up through them watching the movie and even being in the theater and talking about stuff. I just think as soon as they basically left technically the classroom that was functioning as a theater, that was the part where it just kind of got more boring. Okay. All right, and so that's that series. Then we've got ReZero episode 65. Okay, so so now that we've beaten the other Sin Archbishops, we've still got first Al is fighting Capella, and let me think. Sorry, I had to take a quick drink of water there. So he's able to basically cause the whole place to, fall down on her, but it doesn't kill her, of course. She just reforms herself. That's the problem with an enemy that can just regenerate, I guess. So Capella indicates and says, "Yeah, I'm just gonna leave. I don't really care." So I don't know if that's what will actually happen, but that's what she says. Meanwhile, all the other guys are going after the multiple, I think, archbishops of gluttony, which have the ability to, I guess, eat people and gain their abilities. And yeah, the big thing. Oh, and things are looking not so great for Otto. But hey, Beatrice shows up and is going to help him. One thing I did like is because they realized, oh no, you shouldn't let them know your name because then they can figure out stuff about you. And I was like saying, hey everyone, don't say my name. And they'll say, we don't know what your name is anyway. Okay.
Yeah, there were some good moments in this episode. I think Gluttony said something about Rem at some point, which I think is that like they ate her memories of her or something, and I think that has something to do with the fact why she's been forgotten by everyone.
Mhm.
But um, overall, it was okay. I still think the funniest thing would be for Subaru to die and it'd be like, oh crap, no, nothing that happened ever happened. That would be so funny and it would be such a troll. It would actually make me like the show even more if something strange like that happened. I know that can't happen, but I just wonder, like, what would happen if they just decided to troll everyone like that? That would be hilarious. But I don't think that's happening, and unfortunately, we've gotten away from the uh, point of the show, which was always about the return by death thing, and now return by death doesn't really matter anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, they still used it some at the beginning of this arc. I'm fine with them using it a little more sparingly compared to previous arcs where, like I said, up until this part, I feel like every single arc was really just okay. We just will keep doing this loop over and over until he gets done with it, and having one that isn't just that over and over, I appreciate. But I don't. If that happened, though, if it just goes there, I mean, I guess they could. It would be almost kind of funny if after a bunch of stuff, it maybe not here, but at some point, yeah, Subaru dies and just gets warped back to the start, and then he's just like, okay, I'll just do it all over again because it worked, and then you just see all the events of it like fast forwarded through quickly, and then it just gets to the exact point where he died, and then he just dodges whatever it was, and then it just moves on.
Yeah, something like that. That would be really funny. But I don't think that's happening. But yeah. So yeah, not a bad episode this week. Beatrice showed up just in time, which was pretty interesting. So yeah.
All right, so our next I was just going to say, yeah, the next episode, that's the end of this season, so we'll see how that goes. And the end of this arc. The next season will start like the next another arc of the series. We don't know when that season is, but we know it is coming. Actually, I'm almost, yeah, it has been announced. I know they announced it because I mentioned, I think, to you that they had, and I also know, and there's some like kind of spoilers for that season in like the image they show of it. Not like anything major, just a matter of, yeah, okay, this character will be in that season because you see them on the poster. So okay.
So how many episodes we have left? One? Okay.
Yep, just one more of Shangri-La Frontier and ReZero.
Okay.
All right. Okay, and that's it for the series we regularly watch. We have some more stuff to talk about, but first I get to make sure we don't forget, what are our picks for best Toonami and best not Toonami show?
Oh man, I didn't even think of this week. Let's see.
I can
go ahead.
I can go. For Toonami, it would be Lazarus again for me. Despite its problems, it's still better than the other ones we had. For the non-Toonami series, it's a little tricky. I want to say it's a tricky one for me between ReZero and Yu Yu Hakusho. I guess because of the fact that we watched different episodes of Yu Yu Hakusho, maybe I shouldn't list that one. And I guess because of that, I'll name ReZero.
Yeah, so I'm going with Lazarus and Shangri-La Frontier, and my best girl of the week will be Beatrice for showing up just in time and keeping alive the streak of a different best girl every week. We're gonna run out soon, but it's still going right now. It's still going.
All right. I think that's it for that. So I managed to finish the first two parts of the Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War arc. That's how far you've seen. I haven't seen the third one yet, and I don't think you have either. So I thought we could maybe talk about it a little before I go on to the third one. So before we get to that, though, which will contain some spoilers, just so you know, we just wanted to mention for next week, we've got what we'll be watching is Yu Yu Hakusho, Shangri-La, one episode of Yu Yu Hakusho, Shangri-La Frontier, Hyouka, and ReZero. Those are the series. We also, because it's going to be episode 300, are thinking of, we're going to watch like a movie or a special in addition to that. But I don't want to say it just in the off chance we suddenly change our minds. So
yeah.
So we'll get we'll get into that. So so yeah, that's those. Anything else before we decide to start talking about Bleach then?
So just want to make it clear, next week we're watching one of everything and this mystery thing too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. All right. If that's it, then we can go into it. We are going to be getting into some spoilers for the first two parts of the Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War arc, which you watched a while ago, and now I just finished watching it. So, yeah, I want to do it just because I don't know if it'll be anything organized. I just have all these thoughts I need to say about some things in here.
Okay.
So, overall, did you want to say anything first, or?
No, it's been so long since I watched it. I can't remember what happened and when. So,
okay. All right. I have all these notes, but they're kind of disorganized. So a few things. First things first. Rapid fire punching did beat Pepe. So there you go there. It's funny. We started making jokes about how rapid fire punching doesn't work outside of JoJo. And now we just suddenly encounter all these times where it actually does something.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the whole, I'd say I think I didn't really like this that much when I read it in the manga, but I think the anime does do a good amount to try to elevate the source material, fixing some things, going through stuff faster, explaining some things better. For example, I remember you mentioned the fight between Kenpachi and Gremmy, which I thought when I read in the manga was really stupid and I didn't like it. So I got to finally watching it in the anime and I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is a definite improvement over the manga. I think some of my basic problems are there. It's just, okay, he can imagine anything. Just imagine Kenpachi dead, fight over. And we know that he can even do that because he was able to turn Yachiro's bones into cookies temporarily. I think it would have made more sense if they had just said his imagination can make things appear or affect himself, but not other people directly. But the anime improves it in a few ways. First, it goes through it really fast, so your brain doesn't really stop. It doesn't have as much of an attempt to, stop and try to think about that stuff as much. And it also, because it's just not as prolonged, the problems don't matter as much. I like when I see it in the anime, I can much better understand what the fight was actually going for. So yeah, the anime adaptation of that fight, it didn't get rid of some of my issues, but it definitely reduced them. For example, let's see. What other things did I have to mention? Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to mention. What did you think of the theme songs, if you even remember them?
Both of the starting songs were pretty good from seasons 1 and 2.
Okay. I really liked the second one. The first one, I honestly didn't really like. I can't even remember the first. I can remember the second. I liked the second one. That was pretty solid. Okay. Yeah, dang. I had all these thoughts, and I'm just like thinking, do I really want to read out like this list of all these random scattered things throughout some of them? So I don't know. Maybe this is actually going to be a kind of a shorter one, just to mention some things. I will say. So we've had Ichigo was like a Soul Reaper, okay, and yeah, then we find out he's like part Soul Reaper. He's also part Hollow, and he's a Visored. Although I guess those two kind of go together. And he also, I think, like he was like part whatever Execution was. I can't remember what they even were. And now it's like, oh yeah, and he's part Quincy too. So I'm like, Ichigo. Everyone just makes the jokes about how Ichigo is everything. He kind of is. You know, if it hadn't been filler, you just know he would have turned out to be a Bount also. Yeah, kind of, I guess, a bit of a short stuff. I'll just try to give some summary stuff. On the whole, I think it's better than how the manga was. I enjoyed some stuff more. The animation definitely, like, it looks better than I watched some episodes of the earlier series, or actually I just decided, well, I'll just watch some of the episodes that you literally were watching at that point, right at the start of the Visored arc, and I'm like, yeah, this new season looks a lot better than that one. Yeah, okay, so that I guess was the stuff. I just don't want to make this a big list of me saying anything of thoughts and stuff. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about it?
No, not really. I've just been watching, Bleach. Now we're in the 110s of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So Yukiura and Yami just showed up, and I still hate Yukiura. Kind of don't like Yami. I think I did like him the first time around. I don't like him anymore. Yeah, I feel like they've tried to make Bleach darker, and sometimes, most of the time, whenever you try to make something darker, it ends up taking away the quality of the show. So, yeah, like Ichigo's all emo now, and it's kind of annoying. And yeah, it's and I don't like the fact like everyone has to be, like, Ichigo's father has to be a Soul Reaper, and Uru's father has to be a Quincy and stuff. But like couldn't they just be, like, who they were? And then of course Ichigo's mom gets retconned into being a Quincy. So yeah, not enjoying it as much. I finished up the Bound arc. The Bound arc was pretty much how I remember it. It could have been better, but it wasn't terrible. So I'm still watching it, and you can still follow along with my watching. TommyPhillips.com. You can find my thoughts on Bleach there.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, after this, I think I'm going to go into that third part of Thousand Year Blood War. I might as well. I should do it now. Like I mentioned, they had like this low price offer for a few months on Hulu. So I'm like, okay, I'll just sign up for this and then catch up on the things. So I'll be moving into that. I guess I'll just go into some more overall thoughts. This arc, I think it is probably more enjoyable binge. I think I probably would have been more annoyed if I was watching it week to week. Just to be clear, I'm going back to Thousand Year Blood War arc. So there's that. It's kind of a mixed bag. The anime, once again, I think did improve things for the most part. There's still some problems I've got. I think, like when the way what was Komura beats Bombietta, I thought was just kind of Well, because it's just like, well, basically I'm invincible now, so I win. But then I die, so that takes me out of it. Like that's basically it. He wins the fight because he's made himself temporarily invincible, but then can't do it against anyone else because the way he did that made him, well, not die. Well, he says he's dead, but I think it just turns him into a regular dog or something. So get some of that stuff. But yeah, just add even some small stuff they added. Like, do you remember, maybe you don't remember, where Byakuya like beats those 3 Sternritter? There was, I can't remember actually. One of them with Candace, I can't remember the other 2. And you actually see that a little bit of that happen. In the manga, he just beats them all off screen. So just adding a little bit there is something. Let's see. I'm also realizing from this, my problem with Mayuri, all of it goes back to his original introduction, because he's so over the top evil that makes it harder to like just go, oh well, he's just a wacky mad scientist guy in his later appearances. Like that's the thing. If that first appear, because I'm looking at this, I'm like, yeah, I'm actually finding some of the stuff he's doing kind of funny and entertaining, but I just keep thinking of his original thing. It's like if they had just, at least not have him be just straight up physically abusive to Nemu, I would be enjoying him a lot more later on. So there's that stuff. There's also, I forgot just how there's, of course, I mean, Bleach is far from the worst offender in this, but man, they really do throw in a bunch of fan service in some of this stuff. Even that, so yeah, nothing else too much to say about it. There's, yeah, like I said, I could just keep going on listings on some stuff, but on the whole, I guess I'll just say to it, yeah, I think, yeah, it's decent. It's not amazing, but it's decent, and it's a big I wouldn't say big, but a definite improvement off the way the manga did this. So I'm going to be interested in the third, and definitely also the 4th and final part, where I hope they do fix some of the problems I had with the final stretch of Bleach. Some of them I don't think will be fixed. Like I don't think they're going to fix it and give Chad something to actually do, for example, but maybe Chad will get something. Maybe Orihime will get something better than she did in the original manga. It's what I need to actually say this, because in the original manga, I'll be vague about it. I won't give any spoilers, but Orihime, this is basically the extent of her contribution towards the end. This thing happens, and then she's saying, okay, I'm going to fix this. Wait, my powers can't fix this. Then a character who's shown up like once briefly this entire arc shows up, fixes it, then leaves. It's so baffling. I hope they fix that a bit. Anyway, well, I wasn't even trying to use the pun of fix there. Okay. Yeah, okay, I ended up maybe being a lot more scatterbrained with my thoughts than I intended to. So I apologize for anyone who was expecting us to have a big, long discussion about this. But after this, I think I'll be going into the third part soon. So yeah, there's my probably underwhelming thoughts on some of this, I guess. All right. And yeah, that's it for this podcast then. We'll see you all next week to watch the stuff that we mentioned we would watch. And with that, that's the end. We'll try to do better next time.
Bye.
Right back.
The Turtles are back, and they're better than ever.
We're unbelievable!
Raphael, Donatello, Leonardo, Michelangelo, and a whole bunch of bad guys just waiting to get shelled.
Let the butt kicking begin.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, coming up next.
Well, all in a day's work.
Only on Miguzi. Cowabunga, dudes!